Are you a sub-ohm vapor? Do you prefer to vape at 0.6, 0.7, 0.8 ohms? How would you like to vape up to 50 watts regulated? Well, then you just might be interested in the HexOhm. Pro number 1, it's got the OKRT10 chip in there, which allows you to vape up to 50 watts. Hell, I've taken her higher than 50 watts, considerably higher than 50 watts, and that's regulated. So right now, for example, I've got the Castle RDA in here, get her at 0.6 ohms, and boy, she's pushing at 60 watts at the max 6 volts. 60 watts! They say it goes up to 50 watts, it goes higher, okay, considerably higher. I've taken her down to 0.2 ohms. They do not recommend going lower than 0.6 ohms, but I've taken her down to 0.2 ohms, and that's some crazy vape shit right there. But I'll tell you right now, if you do that, you're risking breaking the chip, okay? They're not going to be liable. They do not recommend vaping below 0.6 ohms. But it can, and honestly, I haven't had any issues with it. Vaping at 0.2 ohms, I vaped a 0.2 ohm build for about 2 days. I never had any issues. The chip has never, broken on me. I've been vaping 2 weeks since. It's going strong. But there is a risk. Battery life, exceptional. I've got 2 VTC5s in here. Woohoo! 2600 milliamp hour batteries in here. And I tell you what, I can go with this 0.6 ohm build. I've been able to go 18 to 20 hours before the batteries die off. Whoa! Big. For me, that's big. I'm not using some MVP2 that goes up to 11 watts. This is at 60 watts. 50 watts, and I can go 18 to 20 hours. So not only is this button super duper clicky, but it's at a great position. I mean, my hands are fairly large, and this thing is just easy. Easy peasy, what a sleazy. The powder coated finish on this device is just nuts as butts. I mean, it is grippy, but not only is it grippy, it's super comfortable as well. Con number 1, while I like the back panel, I really do like how secure it is because it's got these 4 magnets in the corners. I'll show you guys all this in the close-ups. But the problem is it can be a freaking pain in the ass to get this back panel off. I mean, I've got to get my nails in between the seam, and it's just a pain. Okay, there we go. Got it. Yeah, it's a pain in the ass. It's not like, something like the Axis where you have the sliding door, but I really do like how secure it is. And I love that clicky sound. It's just getting it off is, can be a pain. Especially if you don't have nails. Like right now, I got some nails, but as soon as I cut those bad boys, oh, it can be a bitch. Also, every time I take this back panel off, one of the 4 magnets tends to fall out. There's a missing one right there. Luckily, it popped out, and it popped out on my desk. It didn't pop out on the floor. I didn't have to go searching for it. Yeah, so I wish they just secured these magnets just a little bit more. They just pop out way too easy. You see that right there? Okay, this is con number 2. Every addy I screw onto this device, it sits crooked. Okay, this side sits higher than the other side. If you're one of those OCD type vapors, you like everything lined up and in line, this might be a little problem for you. It's not that bad, but it's definitely noticeable, and it's got to be mentioned as a con. If I didn't mention this before, this is a variable voltage device, and it vapes between 3 and 6 volts. You've got this potentiometer on the side, and how it works is you take your nail or your finger and you turn it to the right to turn the voltage up, you turn it to the left to turn the voltage down. The problem is, and here's our third con, it does not have a voltage screen. You cannot see what your voltage is when you're vaping, okay? You have to go off a feel. And with this potentiometer, for example, I'm vaping. It needs more voltage, I gotta turn it up. It's all about feel, okay? I need less voltage, gotta turn it down. Now for me, that's not a con. I don't mind that. But for someone out there that likes to see their voltage, this may be a con for you. I do not recommend this to any newbie vapor out there. Because 1, like I mentioned just before, it's got no voltage screen. You cannot see the voltage when you're vaping it. You have to go off a feel. And 2, since it's a variable voltage device and only a variable voltage device, you have to know what resistance build you have on there to the voltage you set it to. Okay, if this were 2 years ago, that would be fine because all the devices out there were variable voltage and you had to learn as you go. But nowadays, there's a lot of variable wattage devices out there, and variable wattage devices take care of all that mumbo jumbo for you. Okay, it's like cruise control. This is manual mode. That's why I don't recommend it to any newbie vapor. Another con, this device is only for your sub-ohm vapors out there. It's not for someone who likes to vape 1.3, 1.4, 1.5 ohms. Okay, it's not like your DNA devices. See, your DNA devices, and this is the beauty of the DNA devices, like the DNA 30s, you can vape all the way from 0.3 ohms to 3.3 ohms. Okay, and get 30 watts. Now, even though this is a 50 watt device, it's got a 6 volt cap. whereas the DNA devices have an 8.3 volt cap. You get more juice when you're vaping all across the board with those DNA devices than you do with this. But at sub-ohms, you get more juice in those DNA 30 devices. Okay, you're getting 50, 60 watts, even higher. But see, that's why this is a con, because when you're vaping at sub-ohm levels, this thing is bitching. But as you jump up on the resistance, the vape quality starts to drop. And that's because there's only a 6 volt cap. So those are the pros and the cons of the old HexOhm. Now we're going to go ahead, dive down. I'm going to show you guys a close-up, talk about all the features, all the goodies. You ready? Let's go. So here's a close-up of the HexOhm. You got the logo over here. On the side, you also have the logo with the serial number 247. Clicky button. Nice clicky button over here. Nice comfortable clicky button. Love the positions just like I mentioned before. There's your 510 connection up top. Brass 510 connection. You see that powder coated finish right there? It's got a black powder coated finish. Super comfortable just like I mentioned before, and grippy. Here's the back panel held on by magnets in the corners. Okay, it is kind of a bitch to get this thing off. You gotta get your finger. You gotta get your finger in there. And that's why I mentioned this as a con. There we go. Got to make sure you have fingernails to get that back panel off. Okay, so this device holds two 18650s. I do recommend using either the VTC4s or the VTC5s. This uses, just like I mentioned before, the OKRT10 chip and supports voltage ranging from 3.3 to 6 volts. I mentioned before 3 to 6 volts. It's 3.3 to 6 volts. The chip is designed to be run up to 10 amps and can produce up to 50 watts of vaping power. Now you can run it above 10 amps, but if you do so for an extended period of time, you will risk breaking the chip. The safest you should build your atomizer down to is 0.6 ohms. Now, like I mentioned before, I vaped all the way down to 0.2 ohms for a day, 2 days, 3 days max. Okay, and I have not had any issues, but I do not recommend you do that unless you want to risk ruining the chip. So to be clear, it can run higher than 10 amps, but you may have consequences. Okay, on the sled inside the box, there are markings to tell you which way your battery goes. You see the positive and negative on this side. See the positive and negative on that side. Just keep in mind, this device does not have reverse battery protection. So if you put the batteries in wrong, you will fry the chip. You got to follow the directions, otherwise you will fry the shit out of this chip and it will be useless. A waste of $135. You want to make sure you buy a pair of batteries specifically for this mod and only use those batteries for this mod. For example, these two VTC5s that I'm using, these I only use for this mod. No other. Okay, when these die off, I'll throw them out, buy a new pair of batteries to use just for this mod. So the back panel is secured by 4 magnets at each corner with 4 screws on the device itself. Okay, so just like this, boom, it's secured. Here's a close-up of all the circuitry going on up top. There's the chip, and for all these wires being totally exposed, it's neat. In my opinion, it's neat. I've seen a lot worse with other box mods. So that, boys and girls, is the HexOhm. Now we're going to go ahead, take her back to the original screen, and vapor some more. Man, I gotta take a hit. Oh man, fiending for the flavor. So that is the HexOhm. I actually received this from a company called Craving Vapor. CravingVapor.com. I'll have a link in the description so you can check it out. They actually manufacture these things in-house. Yeah, buddy. And surprisingly, this thing is offered at a really good price point. $135. Compared to a lot of these other devices, especially the regulated devices that vape 20 watts, 30 watts, 50 watts, 70 watts. Those other devices are way more expensive than this. And I'm talking about at least $40, $50 more expensive. This is $135. That's a damn good deal if you ask me. And even though there's quite a few cons to this device, you can't deny the chip. I mean, 50 watts regulated, and you can vape higher, 60, 70 watts. $135 for a chip like this, and that's what you're paying for. I mean, the box is nice. Don't get me wrong, I love the box. But it's 50 watts regulated, 60 watts regulated. That's freaking awesome. And like I said, 18 to 20 hours of 50, 60 watts of regulated vape. That's killer. What? Yeah. So if Craving Vapor hadn't sent this to me for review, would I have purchased it? And the answer to that is yes. And the reason is because this chip. not only do I love the device as far as the feel and all that good stuff, all the pros that I went over, but the chip, this thing performs like a beast. I mean, a regulated 50 to 60 watts for $135? Yeah, I'd take a gamble on it. This is Rip Trippers, and remember, smoking is dead, vaping is the future, and the future is now.